Alright, so first off, what do I do for a living? So I just have a regular job. Monday through Thursday I work about 10 hours a day, and that's my main source of income. I'm also married, and she also works 5 days a week as well, normal job. However, I do have 3 other sources of income aside from my wife's job and my job. Some of the other things that I do is I play in the stock market. We also have been blessed to have a rental property, and then also I own a business, aftermarket car parts business, on top of everything else. So that's 5 different incomes, and I think that's what's important is my daily job. That's my bread and butter, right? My wife's daily job, that's our bread and butter. Those are the things that are consistent. Stock market's not consistent. Real estate really isn't. It's consistent, but not as consistent, right? It still kind of goes up and down. And same with really any business. But I think it's super important to diversify what your income is, right? Instead of just having one main stream of income, super important to have different platforms coming in and different types of things, right? So I mentioned real estate, stock market, regular job, a business. It's not everything invested in one market to where if something happens, everything goes down. So I think that's super important. And so a little bit about myself. I'm 33 years old, and a little bit more about the car. So this isn't something that I just recently wanted. I had mentioned earlier that I have an aftermarket car parts business, and I really just obsessed over this for like 2 years. And what I mean by that is literally every single night after I got off work, I would search on Auto Trader and try and find the best deals and how can I afford it and work in the numbers and everything like that. And what do I got to do? What's that level of income that I need to be able to make to be able to have something that's a want and not a need? So a little bit more about how much this car costs. So I ended up picking up this car in Arizona for just under $65,000. And like I said, I spent 2 years researching it, right? So MSRP on these, this is a 2015, I believe was around the 110 mark, 108, somewhere in there. And so over the years, obviously they depreciate. And so that's one of the things that I think we can take advantage of is get something that's already depreciated in value and taking the hit for you instead of getting something brand new. And it definitely makes it more affordable. Now you got to do your research and make sure that the car has not been messed with and all that stuff checks out. You really got to know the car that you're purchasing just so you know what to look for. Real common thing with the GTRs is the transmission overheating, and so you really want to make sure that when you are purchasing a used one that has not happened, and you don't have to get the transmission replaced. So mentioned I got the car for just under $65,000. I had an STI before this. I ended up selling my STI a couple of weeks before I bought this, and I ended up using $13,000 from selling my STI, and I put a down payment on the car. Now, I did finance it. I do have great credit, and so I was able to get financed for 84 months for 4%, and my payment ends up being $799 a month. And so as far as other bills and things like that, I have a mortgage, we have a truck that we also have a payment on, and then the car, and we don't have any other bills. Credit cards and that type of thing, we don't have any of that stuff, so that's how we're able to, it's just a mortgage and cars. And so just really important to make sure you're not upside down, just in case something happens. You really don't want to be in that situation to where you're going to take a loss on a vehicle, so I think it's important to put some money down on something like that. Insurance, right? So everyone's like, man, it must be crazy to be able to afford insurance on a car. So along with the maintenance and stuff like that on this vehicle, it's expensive to upkeep it, right? Supercar. So I'm not going to daily drive it. So you can qualify for different types of insurance. Haggerty is one. I went with American Collectors Insurance because it was a quarter of the price of Haggerty. So for $1,400 a year, I'm able to insure this car, and for the face value, $65,000, $100,000, injury and all that stuff with a low deductible. So really, that's only like $110 a month or whatever it ends up coming out to be able to insure a vehicle like this. Now I am limited on the amount of miles a year, So 5,000 miles a year is, what I can drive to keep it insured. So, but again, I'm not daily driving. I'm taking it out. I'm enjoying it. I'll go to car shows, take it out for fun and that kind of thing. So 5,000 miles, it's really a lot over the course of the year. Plus, that also helps with resale value. You're keeping the miles low on it. Don't have to worry about getting upside down in the vehicle. And as you're making payments over time and that kind of thing. So that's the numbers broken down. Again, $800 a month, really, so $920 a month, let's say, if we break down the insurance. If you just wait, be patient, and find the right GTR around the 60 to 65 mark, you can find them. So 2015 got it for 65. It's got 45,000 miles on it. So it's just being patient, find those deals. You can get the 09s and 10s for high 40s, low 50s with like 60,000 miles, but those were the beginning years of the GTR, and they kind of tend to come with some problems if they haven't had some of the things done, like the updated transmission and that kind of thing, bell housing. So just to put it in perspective, and I hope that that's encouraging to you guys, and know that it is reachable. You can achieve those things, and even if you were to pick up a second job on weekends, right, at Subway. So let's say you're at Subway and you make $10 an hour. Let's say you work 20 hours, over Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or whatever it is, $200 a weekend. You times that by 4, that's $800. So again, it's there. Another thing to think about too when you're buying a car is the taxes. So Arizona's kind of expensive. I think it was 8.5% taxes between city and state that had to pay on the car. So total purchase price ended up being around like 71. So just keep that in mind too. Something else to mention too is I wanted a car that had a little bit of modifications to it. And even though I own an aftermarket car parts business and I get things at cost, it's still super expensive. So this car has a Greddy titanium exhaust. It has Cobb 3.5-inch intakes. It also has Cobb downpipes. It has exhaust all the way from turbos back. And it also has a Cobb access port V3 tune. All in all, there's about $10,000 worth of work. We own our house. We have a mortgage. It's not paid off. I have a few cars that I've owned since I was 14, and I haven't ever sold anything. And so I want to talk about something else that's super important. Success is how you interpret it, right? So success isn't always about money. Maybe success for you is family, right? That's that thing of success is I want to have a family, be able to provide for them, and that's where I get my success from. Maybe success for you is making a sports team or something like that. And something that no matter how successful people are, there's a root cause of it's that drive, right? And everyone always talks about how bad do you want it. And so for me, it's just at an early age, I always wanted to prove people wrong. And anytime somebody ever said, hey, you can't do that, I would try anything and everything to say, well, no, that can be done. And I would never take no for an answer. And so just that mindset of being driven that way is kind of incorporated as I get older into my finances and some life skills. And so just being driven, like how bad do you want it? And it's setting your priorities with that. So maybe for you, your priority is family, and not so much the cars and that type of thing. For me, I'm going to make another video about this, but I'm all about God first, right? He is greater than I. And a lot of people are probably going to turn off right now, but that is a lot. It's the way, it is how I am successful, right? With God giving me opportunities, and then it's what you do in those opportunities that makes you successful. So for those that are interested, I'll make another video about that. Also, it's priority is family, right? So I mentioned God, family, that's the number two thing, friends, that kind of thing. And as far as prioritizing wants, those are the needs. The wants, I don't I don't drink, I don't smoke, and so I always, from a young age, wanted to spend my money on something tangible. I can touch it, I can see it, I can make money off of it in the future, a profit, I can work on it, I can make it better. And so that outlet for me was cars. It was cars, and properties. And so I just sacrifice, right? And it is about sacrifice. Everything's about sacrifice. Those that have a substantial amount of money probably aren't sacrificing as much as maybe somebody like myself who just has this expendable income and I can just go and spend whatever money without thinking about it. But it's really strategizing and breaking everything down and understanding, okay, this money's going here, this money's going here. Okay, what happens if this bill goes up this month? What happens if that, right? And so it's just planning. Worst case scenario, planning. I don't ever plan for best case, I always plan for worst case. And if I can be successful off worst case, when the best case comes, those are the types of things where I can maybe we can go shopping that day or something like that. I can take my wife out shopping. But that's the mentality that I have. And every single day I am researching and I am trying to figure out different ways to make income. And it's just being driven and wanting to do that and that drive, right? So I'll go to work and I'll come home and I will spend hours on the internet. For 2 years, I was researching Nissan GTRs, right? I knew I wanted a 2012 or newer because of some of the things that come with it, more horsepower, less problems, those types of things. And I was like, okay, and I literally made it a reality by just, saying, okay, this is going to happen, it's going to happen, it's going to happen, and waiting for that door to open. And so it's being ready, preparing yourself for when those doors do open, you know what to do, and you can be successful and step in that moment and make it happen. And so being transparent again, so after all of our incomes between our properties and that kind of stuff, we are over 100 a year in income. And again, I mentioned we sacrifice so much, right? We don't go out and do those things, and we would rather enjoy these things versus that. But if that's something different that you want to do, maybe it is going out to eat, right? Maybe you really love food and you want to be a chef or something like that. That's what you want to do. You decide what success is. And I think in society, money, unfortunately, we all have to make it. We all have to do it to live, right? And so a lot of people view success as that, but money won't bring you joy. There's a difference between happiness and joy. The difference between happiness and joy is happiness is a short-term thing that you can get from things like money and cars and stuff like that. And joy is a completely separate thing. So a lot of people say money can't buy you happiness. I disagree. Money can buy you happiness, but money cannot buy you joy. And I'll make another video in the future about explaining the difference between joy and happiness and where that comes from. But I just want to inspire you guys to know that you can do it, right? I'm 33, and I've been extremely blessed to be in the situations I have, but I've also worked extremely hard. Me and my wife have both worked extremely hard to get to where you are. And I always talk about dreams or goals without deadlines. So you can have a dream, but if you don't set a goal in the future, and you don't set a deadline, and you don't have a plan of, like, every single day I'm going to do this to be able to get there, then it's not going to happen. It's just going to be a dream. You're never going to be able to reach those things unless you sit there and you plan, okay, on today I'm going to achieve this. On tomorrow I'm going to achieve this. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen unless you win the lottery. It's not going to happen quick. It's small iterations of doing the things you need to do to reach your goal. And those things compound over time, which then you'll be able to achieve your goal. So I just wanted to make this video and share a little bit about that. I'm going to be making lots more videos here in the future. If you like it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe so that way you can be involved in what's going on in the future. Another thing with my channel that I have is I want to be able to give away half of all the YouTube earnings that are coming in, and I want to give it away to charities. and things like that. If you are just new to this video, go ahead and look at my first video. I started kind of like bodybuilding for a little bit. I've kind of tapered off a little bit from that, but I'll explain why I want to give away half my earnings in that video. So go ahead and check that one out. And I'm curious to see what success stories you guys have, and I want to be able to make a platform and get a team together, and that way we can share how we're successful. And again, I want to be 100% transparent. I'm not looking to use leverage and say, hey, if you really want to know this, buy my program for $100 a month, which is business smart and business driven, right? People want to know successful people, they want to be involved in success and stuff like that, and so they're going to charge you to do that. But I don't want to do that. I want to just be transparent, I want to be humble, and I want to share information with you guys about how you can achieve your dreams. Alright, hope you guys have a great day.